Devil Wears Prada 2. All right. Give me the basic story. I mean, I think you and I both saw the first Devil Wears Prada. You can find it on Disney Plus or HBO Max. It's around. So check it out. I caught up with it. And what was weird about watching this movie that was 20 years old, made in 2006, the first film, we have Anne Hathaway as Andy. And it was of its time. It was really like a whimsical, light, romantic comedy that really was like of a different era, I would say. So what do we make of, and then the thing that really made this movie was the character that is
the Fab Four,
the reference devil, Miranda Priestley, played by Meryl Streep. Emily Blunt is, of course, one of the Emilys, Emily Charlton, and Nigel, played by Stanley Tucci. All are back in the sequel. The first movie was fine. It was a light. I remember in liking it. It's like, oh, okay. I don't feel like I completely wasted my time. Andy's a writer with higher ideals who's working at a fashion magazine. She feels it's kind of beneath her. She doesn't understand how important fashion is, how it influences art and the choices of everyone, why they choose to wear what they wear and what it means in the world. And Miranda Priestley schools Andy in the first film. And all four of those key characters, Emily, Miranda Priestley, Andy, and Nigel, are back for part 2. Where are they now in part 2?
Well, of course they're in New York City. But what's happening is Runway Magazine is not the magazine it used to be. It is now budget has been cut drastically, and it's an online magazine, much like Film Threat. So the movie opens with Runaway Magazine in crisis. There was a story they ran that had themes of child slave labor in it, and as a result, the internet blows up. Runway has just made the biggest mistake of its life, and things need to be taken care of right now, or Runway is going away. Meanwhile, on the other side of town, Andy left Runway 20 years ago and became the journalist that she wanted to be. But the problem is that here in the movie, she's at an award ceremony, about to win the award for a series of articles she's published, but her publication just got bought and sold and no longer exists. And now she's out of a job, which is the commentary of journalism today. So the guy, the CEO who owns the parent company of Runway Magazine, says something needs to be done, or Miranda, you're gone. And he decides that he's going to hire Andy, who just got laid off, make her the features editor. And we're back. Miranda doesn't remember who Andy is. And so we've now reestablished this relationship between Miranda and Andy is kind of sent in to save the company. So she writes an apology article. She's, kind of gets in front of the problem, explains it away. Yeah, good solution, but no one reads the article. In fact, no one reads any articles Andy writes, and that's again where this conflict comes in. Nigel still knows who she is, and then also in a twist of fate, because of everything that Runway is going through, they need to do an apology tour to all the sponsors of the magazine, and one sponsor, Christian Dior, is run by Emily. And so Andy and Miranda must go and kiss Emily's butt in order to keep the advertiser from Christian Dior. And what's interesting is everything I described to you happens and wraps up in the first act of the movie.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Yeah. Well, the second act is about
a new conflict. A whole new conflict occurs with a takeover of the magazine that puts Miranda in an awkward position. And forces are trying to take her down and push her toward maybe an early retirement or out of the industry. It felt like a season, because what you described is accurate.
It's like Sex in the City.
It felt more Sex in the City than Devil Wears Prada. it and it's so convoluted. It was like we got an entire season of a TV show in 2 hours, and it didn't really. I just don't think you can. This is a sequel that needed to be made. It's 20 years later. Andy is still a plucky, idealistic journalist. She mentioned she's frozen her eggs because she may one day want to have kids. But what? She's in her 40s now. It's just. I mean, look. Obviously, I'm not the one that really wanted to see this movie. I saw it with someone who wanted to really see it, and it wasn't Alan. Okay. Yes, my girlfriend wanted to go see this movie, and she wanted the popcorn bucket, which was sold out, by the way. Sold out. Did not get the popcorn bucket. But look, if you're a fan of the first one, and the first one I wasn't necessarily a fan of, I remember liking it. It was like, oh, that's a good, of its era, romantic, kind of romantic comedy in that genre, but also about a young girl trying to make it on her own and trying to make a name for herself and struggling with her ideals. And at this early age, like fresh out of college. Anne Hathaway's character, Andy, is fresh out of college in the first film. And I just felt this didn't need to get made. And the thing that is the worst part about this movie is Miranda, Meryl Streep's character. They soften her.
Yeah.
What was great about that first movie was she never budges an inch. You never see her flinch. You never see her like give any sort of feeling or emotion. She is the devil. She expects a certain standard and you better meet it or you're gone, like the last Emily. And in this, they attempt to humanize her, and that really breaks the character for me. And they didn't need to do that. So if you're a fan of the first one, you're going to see this anyways, and it's fine, but it's ultimately a disappointment. Didn't need to get made. Alan, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I liked it better than you.
Okay.
But you're right in the sense that it's like Sex and the City, and in that there are chapters in the story. There's an overarching, we need to save Runway magazine, but there are chapters in which things happen to characters. And then your criticism about Miranda, look, that's what we call character arcs in the business. She can't be the same person all the time, especially in a world, back 20 years ago, Runway had this massive budget, it was the best fashion magazine in the world. And now it's online and they have to get content. They have to constantly be producing content. And so the luster has fallen, and that emboldens the relationship between Andy and Miranda. While at the same time, this movie is not for me. The only reason I saw it was because it's my job to see these movies. I think the best thing I could say, look, I can't speak for someone who loved the first movie and seeing this one, but I can speak for someone who is not the audience but had to sit through this. And I'll say, I had a good time. I wasn't bored, and I was able to keep up. And so, you could do worse.
Yes, that's the saving grace. I wasn't bored. That's why it felt like it felt very episodic. This problem solved. This problem solved. A new problem. We'll deal with that in the third act. So it felt like one of those videos where you're like, it's like a summary video of a last season of a TV show. That's what it felt like.
Yeah. Now let me say this about the movie. It's not, despite the stories that have come out about this movie from various actors in the movie, this movie's not woke. In fact, it plays around with the idea of the old generation and the new generation. Yes. And it doesn't take a side necessarily. Obviously, there is a side taken, but the old-fashioned thinking of Miranda versus the more progressive thinking of Andy, it's not a major conflict, but it comes into battle. I do love the parts where HR constantly has to follow Miranda around to correct her in the things she says, and she does not tolerate them at all, and just continues on. There's something with BJ Novak that happens that was probably the dumbest thing, but it's the whole idea of, hey guys, I mean, hey people,
But I love the thing how they kind of repeat things from the first movie. Like
Yeah.
Miranda would come in, throw her purse and her coat on the desk. They mentioned they had HR complaints.
Yeah.
But yeah, the movie's not really, it's
like the whole
stories
body
that are
positivity thing is more of a discussion in the movie than what happens in the movie.
Yeah,
it's pretty much models throughout the entire movie.
Yeah, it is
as you would think.
models.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, Alan, so I don't recommend it. You give it a bear recommend?
I would give it a recommend, not a bear recommend.
Okay. Well, I would say if you're a fan of the first movie, you're going to see it anyways. So you don't care what I think, but I don't recommend it.
It hits all at least, like I said, I saw it the night before the first one. Hits all the points, gets all the characters right. And I think it will be a big hit this weekend.
That I don't doubt. In spite of what I think, this movie will be a financial success.